Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a girl talk Q&A kind of video. I went onto Instagram and asked you guys for some questions and I have quite a few. I asked about boys, periods and like best friends, but we don't really have any about best friends, which to be honest, same, I don't really have any friends either, so I got you. Before we start this video, make sure you go ahead and give this a big thumbs up and subscribe, and without further ado, let's just spill some tea. I wish I had like a shot or something, or like a drink, just to like loosen up, because I feel like this girl, no one cares, no one cares. So I'll just go check if there's any more. Hello, no. Okay, so the first question is, how do you know when a guy stops liking you, and like what are the signs? I do kind of know the signs. No, do I? Hold on, right, let's think about this. In my experience at least, it's been more of a being able to see whether or not the person is willing to, like, you know, work through the problems in a relationship, or like if you're seeing someone, if they don't want to change, if they don't want to work through things, that's like a sign that they're just like, they don't care enough. Also, I would say the change in like the way that they speak to you is really like, says a lot about someone, I think. If someone used to speak to you quite like positively and would laugh with you, and now they're just like not really bothered with the conversation and they're being quite like negative, I would say that's quite a big sign. I don't know, to be honest. If you can't tell if someone doesn't like you anymore, or like if they've like switched their feelings, then just ask. Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, some guys will try and make it seem like, they won't tell you straight up that like, no, I don't want to speak to you anymore. They'll kind of lead you on, which kind of sucks. But just ask them, and if they seem a bit fishy, then just give yourself a heads up that like, this probably isn't going to go any further. So the next question is, give advice to your younger self. So the thing that sticks out to me the most, and this isn't exactly just a boys thing, this could be friends, family, anyone, is to not ignore red flags. And no matter how much you like the person, no matter how much you're supposed to like the person, or how much you feel like you need to like the person, do not ignore the red flags, because those red flags that you ignore at the start will just come back. I've just realised I'm not wearing a bra. Oh, who cares? Free the nipple. The red flags that you ignore at the start will come back like 10 times worse at the end when things are going like toxic and stuff. And also, just not to let myself be treated so like by people. Some people have treated me like dog shit when I have not deserved it, and I will hand on heart with my chest, say it with my chest, that I did not deserve it. So yeah, just don't let people walk all over you. And if they are walking all over you and you have it in your head that like, oh no, I have to give this person a second chance, I'm like a person that believes that everyone should have a second chance. If you give someone that second chance and they do it over and over again, that's it. Don't ignore it, like just leave it. I know it sounds a little TMI and I apologise, but is it true that all forms of birth control mess with your hormones and emotions? Is there an alternative to that, or one that doesn't affect you really bad? My boyfriend has a friend who tried one and the doctor says would work for her, and she really disliked it and now it affects her emotional state. I can't really give great advice on birth control because I have never taken any and I'm not like on anything right now. I'm literally dealing with the periods the way my body wants to. From what I have heard, birth control can affect your hormones and your emotions. I've heard stories of like, from my friends, stories of them being really depressed, having really bad acne afterwards, even though in some cases it's supposed to help your acne. I don't know. I've heard that people have had to come off their birth control because it's literally just making them so miserable and it's affecting their like the rest of their life. What's the worst and best thing about female? Wait, what? About being female? What's the worst and best thing about being female was the question. So the first thing that's just come to mind for the worst thing about being female, I would say, is the amount of objectification you get from males. And I don't want to make it like one gender only, but in my experience especially, harassment or levels of like objectification with females has mostly been with like from a male. I've had multiple catcalls in public by myself. It's especially guys when they're with their friends. Like, it's not really even when they're by themselves. It's mostly when they're with their friends, they'll try to like impress their friends by saying something to this girl. I've had it multiple times, like not even when I was younger, I had it in college, I've had it during uni. So yeah, I would say that's probably one of the worst things about being female, and it's not something that we can change, you know? And the best thing about being female, I mean, what is there? Birth control, hormones, periods, childbirth. What is there to choose? I would say the like female empowerment, the amount of female empowerment that there is like in the world today is so like good. Like it warms my heart. Girls supporting girls and that kind of stuff. That's all I can really think of. What's the best thing you always use when you have periods? I have had this discussion with a lot of girlfriends of mine about like, you know, what to use when you're on your period. Personally, like if I feel that my period is like on its way, then I'll use like a panty liner. And then when my period starts, then I'll use pads, which kind of follows up to the next question actually, which is pads or tampons. I've personally never used a tampon just because I'm not really scared about putting it up there. I know that when you can put it up there and it might seem like uncomfortable, and like you have to put it in a certain way for you to not be able to feel it. But it's not really the putting it in that like scares me, it's pulling it out. Like I'm scared that if you pull the string out, that the string is gonna come out and the tampon's just gonna stay up there. That's the one thing that's probably scaring me the most and like putting me off tampons. For the most part, pretty much 95% of the time I will use like the big night pads even in the daytime, just like as an extra precaution. If I know that my period's like thinning out a bit and it's not being as heavy, then I'll just use a regular sized pad. But yeah, I use Always, which I'm literally looking at it right now. So these are the ones that I will use on a daily basis, also at night. Especially when I was in like year 6, I had to use these like all the time. Like I would never be able to use any smaller pads because these ones, I don't know why I had such bad periods in like year 6, I don't know. Like especially in high school, I don't know why my periods were so bad. I literally had to change my pad before I left the house, go to the toilet as soon as I got to school, go to the toilet between the classes, then go to the toilet again in the break, then go to the toilet again at lunch, and then in the last period, and then before form, and then after form, like after school. I don't know why they were so bad. What age did you start your period? I think I started my period like pretty much in year 6. I'm not even kidding, when I first got my period, I sat on the toilet and I cried. I literally cried because I just didn't like it. I didn't like, oh, this is how my life is gonna be now. I also wasn't actually fully aware that it was even my period when it started because my mum kind of didn't really address it. Like my mum's very strange about these kinds of things. She won't call a pad a period pad. She'll call it like a thing, like I don't know. And when I started my period, she just like saw the brown stuff in my pants and she was like, oh, next time use one of these. So like, you know, she didn't really explain it, she never really has. Have you tried menstrual cups? Is it dangerous? I have not tried cups. I think that's like a diva cup, right? I've not tried one of those and I'm a bit like, nah. You have to like empty yourself out like every time you go to the toilet. I don't think you can pee with it. Take it out and you empty it out. Doesn't then the rest of your period go out? And like it will just like get on your hands and stuff. And like, where are you supposed to wash it? Because I know you're supposed to wash the menstrual cup every time you empty it out, but like, if you're in a public bathroom, do you like, how? Like how? So the next question is, how do you tell your mum about a boy / when do you tell your mum? This again is a very difficult question for me to answer because my mum is very iffy about boys. My mum's just really iffy about everything. The first time that I got a boyfriend and I told my mum, how are you talking to these boys? How are you talking to all these boys? And I'm like, I'm literally in a public mixed gender school. How, like, what? So that first time that I had a boyfriend or like ever spoke to a guy seriously, I guess, that was kind of just how I told her. I was like, oh, I have a boy. I don't think I even told her. I think I just made it Facebook official and everyone saw. But basically after that boyfriend, I was then seeing a guy. Well, was I seeing him? I don't know. I didn't think I was seeing him. It's a long story. Basically, this guy that I thought was just my friend came to my house, and you know, we went to the cinema and stuff, and my mum actually really got along with him, and she really liked him, like really liked him. When I eventually was getting back with my ex-boyfriend, my mum was like, oh, what about this person? Oh, I liked him. What? And I was like, so to be honest, I don't really know how to tell your mum. I guess you just say I have a boyfriend, or just bring the guy to your house and just say that you're like friends. No, that's probably not the way to go about it. I don't really know. And when to tell your mum, I would probably just not straight away, probably give it like a week of being with them. I don't know, it depends how close you are to your mum and how well that your mum takes certain things, because for me it's kind of difficult, and I know for other people like they can just tell them and it's fine. But yeah, I don't know, just force yourself to say it. So the next question is, how do you get a boyfriend? Sweetie, I'm asking myself the same question. What's happened? No, to be honest, I've not spoken to a guy since like October, and that's like pretty good for me, because I used to speak to a different guy like every month, and I've not spoken to anyone since, so healing. But to seriously answer that question, I guess, and sometimes I really ignore this, but I really need to not ignore it, and you're probably guaranteed to have better long-lasting relationships with guys or girls if you actually form a friendship with them before you start dating them or seeing them. So I would say that's definitely just one thing that I've learned, is to build friendships with people before you say you know, like. What do you think is the best age to have a boyfriend or be somewhat eligible to have a boyfriend? Good question, because I experienced a lot of my friends when I was younger, so like even in primary school, a lot of my friends during that time had boyfriends. Same goes in secondary school, same goes in college, I guess, and pretty much same goes in uni. I would probably say, for the most part, don't worry about a boyfriend, well, ever, really. Don't really worry about a boyfriend ever. Don't put pressure on yourself to get a boyfriend. Don't feel like, oh, my best friends all have boyfriends, that means I need one. It doesn't. Like, if you might not be ready for that, and just wait to be ready. Okay, don't rush yourself. Do not rush yourself for anyone. Learn from me, because I rushed myself for someone. Don't do it. Even like the couples that you see in secondary school that you think are like this, like they're gonna be married, no, even all of those are off. Yeah, I was in college, and after that is socially acceptable, I guess. Are your periods regular, and can you tell when your month is about to arrive? Your monthly period is about to arrive. I would say I am somewhat regular. I use the app Flow to track my periods. I am somewhat regular. I'm supposed to be on my period now, to be honest. It was supposed to start like 3 days ago and it's not started. For the most part it does come on time, but it depends like how much stress I'm under, how much I'm eating, what I'm eating, how much exercise I'm doing. Those all do definitely change it, I guess. But if I am just like normal, then yeah, I'll be regular. Do you have any secret code words for periods, tampons, pads, etc.? Oh, actually, I did used to have a bit of a code word to say like when I'm on my period. I used to say all the time, I'm disabled. Or I'll be like, I can't do this because I'm disabled. Or like, I'd be like, oh, when I say I'm disabled, I actually mean I'm on my period. And like girls relate to this, because when you're on your period, if you're sat down for an extended amount of time and then you stand up and it's just like Viagra Falls, what? It's just like Niagara Falls from your vagina, just, you know? Or when you wake up from being asleep and you go to the toilet and it just looks like a bowl of Hawaiian Punch, like what? Wait, why did I get into that? Who did you tell first when you first got your period? So I would probably, my mum was obviously the first person to know because she like told me in the first place. And then at the time I had like 2 best friends. I think I only told one of them. You don't really go around telling people like, oh, I've started my period. I mean, you might do, but it's just kind of like if it comes up in conversation, then you talk about it. And the last question is, how did you find out about periods and what girls go through? And then she's put in brackets, when/how/who told you about the talk? Okay, I get the question. So basically, when have you ever had the period talk or anything? Pretty much everything that I know, especially at the beginning when I first had my period, was taught to me by my school. Like, we always had sex education pretty much like once a month, I think. Did we have once a month or like 2 times a year? I don't know. So pretty much all of my knowledge, especially at the start of having my period, was from that time. My mum and my parents never gave me the talk. I've never had a period talk. I've never had birds and the bees talk. Any kind of serious, valuable talk with my parents, to be honest. But anything since school, anything since like sex education period talk, I would probably know from like Googling. So that's pretty much all the questions I have for this video. If you want to get involved with any feature like Q&A kinds of videos, follow me on my Instagram at Phoebe Beddows. I am very active on there, and yeah, it's just fun. If you have any more like girl talk questions, let me know in the comments down below. We can all help each other out, you know, figure out your girly life. If you like this video, make sure you let me know and give this a big thumbs up and subscribe. And apart from that, I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I'll see you in my next video. Toodaloo!